Thanks.
My next guest says all this talk of stealth stimulus is proof that the first stimulus is not working. Former Republican Senator and the Governor of Virginia, George Allen, is with us. Governor, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Stu. Good to be with you.
If the stimulus plan number one did not work, are you dead set against any kind of new job creation program?
Well, they may want to call it stealth stimulus, but the reality is it'll be real debt that has to be paid off. And I think we need to be strengthening America's financial condition in our economy. And the worst thing we could be doing is putting ourselves into further debt. Even the communist Chinese leaders were lecturing President Obama on worrying about the inflation of the dollar, the weakening of the dollar. And that affects our energy prices, and it affects our leadership in the world. So, you know, if spending money were going to help our economy, we would not have lost millions and millions of jobs.
Well,
and they're projecting deficits that are doubling.
You don't want government to be spending money. Are you in favor of putting money into private enterprise hands, like, for example, cutting the taxes imposed on businesses so they go out and hire people?
Sure, there's ways that you strengthen the economy. First of all, you don't put them into dangerous debt, and then you have the right economic policies, the tax and regulatory policies that make it conducive to people and businesses to take a risk and create jobs, have regulations that have prompt permitting. Education's important as well, but that's mostly a state and local responsibility. And you could cut the investment tax credit on capital, and you'd see some expansion there in buying of that equipment. I've actually worked on a bipartisan basis with a fellow named Paul Goldman, former Democratic Party chairman of Virginia, on what we call the SMART credit. It is to modernize old schools, and it would help create jobs. It would save the taxpayers literally billions of dollars. It'd save them at least 30% on modernizing old schools. The children would be learning in better schools, and they'd also be more energy efficient. That makes sense. You're creating jobs, improving schools, saving the taxpayers money, and a simple change in the tax code for historic renovations would revitalize those schools and create those jobs.
We got it, but I want you to address the big picture for a second, because there's an awful lot of talk that our debt is flat out of control, cannot be repaid. We're going to pay a huge price for it in a rapidly declining dollar. I mean, there are some people out there who are talking Armageddon here, and gold hit a new high today. I mean, what do you make of that kind of talk?
Well, I think it's serious, and I think there are very serious people who recognize this. Frank Wolf, for example, in the House has been talking about a safe approach where you actually have to really cut back on this profligate spending, because this debt is going to ruin our currency, ruin our children's opportunity to achieve the American dream. And we can't just hope that the Chinese and the Saudi Arabians and others will keep buying our currency or buying our bonds and getting paid about 1 or 2% on it. You're going to end up with inflation, and when you have a weakened dollar, that means our energy prices go up as well, which exacerbates a slowdown in the economy. So we really need to get spending under control, fiscal discipline, and stop this loading of future generations with this perpetual debt that is going to sink our economy.
Governor
and those
George
good
Allen,
ideas.
You got it. Governor George Allen, thank you very much indeed, sir. We're glad you're with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Stu.
Mammogram.